listening to the Chartographers.
Everybody, you're listening to the Chartographers. It's the Happy Hour Minisode Alcoholica edition, where we get to talk about Metallica. They are a group that we, in the past 2 episodes over the past 2 weeks, have ranked their albums from worst to first, and now me, Evan Sadi, co-creator Taran O'Reilly, and special guest singer-songwriter Phil O'Reilly are here in the studio to talk about everything else related to Metallica that is not their artistic aims or achievements. I mean, we'll talk about some of that, sure, including this very important question that we ask at the top of every Happy Hour Minisode in our segment sponsored by Red Robin. Everybody, what is your least favorite Metallica song?
Attitude.
You know?
Attitude.
Take some time to think about it.
I mean, and I think we can use the spoiler of not going with anything off Lulu, because, you know, any song would do. But, I think I know Phil's.
Well,
Murder One.
Yeah. I did say that. It has to be something off of Load and Reload, but I can't. The problem is I can't focus enough on what some of those songs sounds like.
Wasting my hate. I don't know.
I mean, a lot of the problem with the songs we didn't mention on Load and Reload is that they sound like
deeply
generic late 90s rock.
You open the album with "Ain't My Bitch" and I still don't know how it goes. I've listened to it like 5 fucking times. It's just like it's that bland.
Well, they haven't played it since that tour, so that kind of shows.
Fuck them. That's what I have to say about that. Now, Phil, you said you might have a second nominee for least favorite.
Yeah, I would say
Little Dog.
Probably. Let's go with. I'm gonna say Confusion. Probably.
Okay.
Maybe something. Maybe like on Hardwired to Self-Destruct, the most unnecessary double album. Like it's like you could have.
It literally is under 80 minutes. It could have all fit on a single disc.
And you could have made it even less by cutting off the,
Murder One and Confusion.
It's not like earlier in their career they didn't have 8 songs on albums that are only 8 songs long. Cut 4 of the shitty ones and leave it as it still would have probably been about an hour at least.
Yeah, but Lars doesn't want to do that.
We've been enjoying Evan's Lars impression throughout the entire taping here.
So before we do anything else, there's a lot to talk about. Phil's going to let us know about a lot of the live things. I want to talk about 2 things out the gate, though. I'm going to talk about their movies, because we watched them. For the record,
sure.
It has been available for the longest time, and I've deliberately held off on fucking watching the goddamn some kind of monster film until this week, because I wanted to be in the moment. So glad I did. For a movie that's 2 hours and 45 minutes long, it breezes the fuck by.
That's how long that was?
Yeah.
Wow.
Yeah.
No, it really, a lot fucking happens.
I was wrapped in
Stab
that
your
thing.
back so you won't stab mine.
Your
back so you won't.
Yeah, exactly. My favorite thing of all is them recording radio promos, though. That was like my favorite thing.
Very funny.
This is James from Metallica. You can win $5,000 by calling this fucking number right here. Like, they have to do this, and then, like, hearing from the label, no, you need to do this, because it's kind of one of those, if you don't do this, they're not going to play your next album. Like, fuck that shit, man. Really? That's how it works?
It's interesting that Metallica, that late in their career, would have to bow down to what radio wants.
Yeah.
It's like, I would think that they wouldn't, like, radio would ask them to play their stuff, you know? Like,
Right. That's what I'm thinking too, but maybe because Load and Reload were so not well received in general.
Compared to the Black Album. They're still multi-platinum selling records.
Well, right.
You know.
But yeah, critically and in the fan reception was not as strong. And the Black Album then was a full 12 years before Saint Anger came out. So it makes some sense that they would have lost a bit of their clout.
Yeah. Although I will say that moment when Lars plays a song for his dad in the studio, kind of this weird, airy vocal epic, and his dad is like, not about it at all. His dad, who, by the way, apparently is a part-time wizard on
Still alive, by the way, just turned 92.
That's
I follow Lars on
incredible.
Instagram, and which is a phrase that I never thought I would say. But
It might be the first time the sentence has ever been spoken.
I am his only follower, actually, on Instagram.
Yeah, but it's just, I mean, the whole thing was so fascinating. The psychiatrist that they have in, the shrink to help them through all these
Also
things.
named
I
Phil.
will say, I mean, aside from that, and aside from him writing his little notes about being in the zone and living around the studio was such a weird move. Because also Bob Rock is there like, What's happening? What's going on with this? But I will say, Taran brought up one thing earlier, was that during the part of the film when James left to check himself into rehab and was gone for obviously an extended period of time to work on what he needed to work on, them bringing in Dave Mustaine to confront Lars about what he had been through was a surprisingly emotionally effective moment in that film.
That was probably the hardest part to watch, but also one of my favorite sections was not just that it happened at all, but partially that Lars was receptive to letting it happen, and then in the confrontation was not confrontational. Would just sort of let Dave Mustaine tell him about the struggles that he had gone through with this shitty, toxic fan base that Metallica has. And screaming at him on the street that he was worthless and a piece of garbage because he wasn't good enough for Metallica, and how that always held him back was really striking.
Well, and for those that don't know, what they're talking about is that Dave Mustaine was the original lead guitar player in 1982 into 83. He was kicked out for his alcohol and drug issues, which was very ironic considering they're all... When you made the joke of Alcoholica at the top of the episode, that was their nickname for a very long time because they were all heavy alcoholics.
Well,
but the difference was Mustaine was kind of more aggressive when he got that way, and so he was kicked out basically in the middle of tour, told to pack your shit and get out of here. And formed Megadeth kind of almost as a revenge in a sense, and has kind of always had to be second place. Megadeth never really reached the commercial success. You could argue that they might be more technically superior.
And solo heavy and pun heavy.
Yeah, but I mean, I'm not a huge Dave Mustaine fan because he is kind of a dick, but if you're listening, Dave, you gotta give it a listen.
He is listening, make no mistake.
But I do agree. That is a very heavy and vulnerable moment, and interesting for them to be that vulnerable. So
yeah, well, and that's sort of the part of why Some Kind of Monster as a film is so fascinating and keeps you, fixed to the screen is because of the reputation that Metallica had in my head was the antithesis of bringing in a group therapist to work through their problems and checking yourself into rehab for a year because you need to do this for yourself and for the long-term health of your band
and your family and
not just doing those things, but also filming and releasing and letting the public in on that whole process. It could have been very easy for them to keep 100% of all of that completely private. And the fact that they were willing to show that to the world honestly really changed my opinion about them as people. And sort of helped me go back and appreciate more of the intelligence in their music. Because, again, they have this reputation. I think who they are as musicians and as artists is a completely different thing from the reputation that their fan base has sort of given them at large to people who aren't as familiar with them.
Sure. Yeah, I agree with you on all of that. I would also add that it was definitely a turning point. They became much more vulnerable in some of their music too later, and it was definitely they don't have to be like the machismo rock stars that they were earlier in their career anymore. My favorite scene is the scene just talking about private, no way that did they have to show this, but they did. The fight that James and Lars have in the studio.
Yes.
Where basically James calls Lars out for being a dick. And he's like, you're picking at me,
all
what have
fucking
you,
day,
he's like, I told you I'm in a crappy mood. What have you been doing? Picking at me all day. And Lars is like, I don't get it. You're over there being an asshole to me. And it's like, it's interesting because at this point, those two guys have been friends for 20 years. Mm-hmm. And it's kind of almost like you see the relationship there too when you add Kirk in the middle trying to say, hey guys, let's just stop fighting it with each other. And Kirk has often said that was his role throughout all of Metallica. Was getting between James and Lars and trying to be like, guys.
Kirk is one of the chillest people.
For the way he can play, he's like,
he is like just in a zen state pretty much constantly. All of the footage I've seen of Kirk, he just seems like a really nice,
he's a golden retriever of a boy.
Chill dude.
Yeah.
Who also happens to be one of the best guitarists who's ever lived.
Yeah.
Like, it's just... It's such a weird contrast to see him in the band with these two huge egos.
Like,
of course...
Well, it balances out, you know, Hetfield, especially in their early days, is this big, like... He's a huge guy, first of all, just in size. And then he's just like, he plays typically these massive sized rhythm guitars that explorer bodies that are typically bigger and just like, you know, belting out like this big presence. And then Kirk's just off to the side, just ripping the solo and just kind of calm. It's like a really nice balance.
Well, though, it's interesting, though, because as much as we love him, Taran was reading some stuff of what Jason Newsted had to say about the documentary after it came out.
Oh, well, also, I mean, he said it in the documentary that he thought them hiring a therapist was weak and lame when they couldn't bother to figure these problems out on their own. And that was actually like the straw that broke the camel's back with him quitting the band. There were many other factors, including James telling him he couldn't do a side project, which is bullshit.
Right.
Like, you're in the biggest band of the world. He can record one other album and he's not gonna just suddenly stop being in Metallica. Y'all aren't doing shit right now, but whatever. And so then them hiring the group therapist was like, he was like, I'm out. And it just, you know,
right.
And that one thing sort of highlights, I think, what was prevalent in their early career, which we sort of purposefully didn't touch on in the main episode, of just the misogyny and the the lack of respect for the human, that sort of prevalence.
Well, that's what
that's
unfortunately the stereotypes behind thrash metal, is that it's very
bro heavy,
very misogynist, very homophobic, very in some cases racist even. Like, it's there's a lot of that. But what's interesting is it's like they kind of, that's why whenever I talk about how Metallica is nowadays, whenever I talk to like my parents about Metallica, I always bring it up like, yes, they were like that in their early career, but they're not like that now.
Yeah.
And it's like and what's interesting is a lot of their peers, Megadeth, I almost call them Sailor, Slayer, Anthrax, all those guys never really changed that from their, and it's like Metallica was kind of the one band to be like, you know, we don't really need to be these machismo assholes anymore. We can kind of change. It's okay to be vulnerable. It's okay to like kind of change that about how we are.
Yeah.
But I totally agree. I mean, there's unfortunately a lot of that. Thrash metal was created because they were like, we're not going to put on makeup and be like girls.
Yeah.
We're going to play heavy, angry music and have belts made out of bullets and stuff. Like, you know.
But I will say, it was kind of nice seeing the diversity of people that they had for their bassist auditions in Some Kind of Monster, too.
Yeah.
It was nice seeing, like, this female bassist is rocking the fuck out. And then here's Robert Trujillo not even using a fucking pick because he's just going to crab walk his way.
I love Robert Trujillo, man. He's so funny. Like, he comes in, he's just like, I'll let you gush about him in a second. I just want to say one thing, which is that I love how he comes in and he's like, they're like, so what song you want to do? He's like, I can try Battery. It's like the most aggressive, heavy song they have from the top. And they're like,
you want to do Battery?
Lars is like, okay, I guess I'll have to stretch. Like, it's like, and then he just nails it. And they even say that after, they're like, it hadn't been played that way since Cliff Burton.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
Which is like...
And not even with a pick. He's just...
And to hear them say, like, you make us play better. I mean, I think that's the highest compliment you can give
Yeah.
a musician is like you make
And for
other
them to
musicians
say
play
that,
better.
like the amount of ego those guys have, for
Right.
them to say that to him is pretty telling. And how would you like to be get a new job and be offered $1 million advance?
Right.
Yeah.
Just-
Lars is like, we're going to give you $1 million, whether you want to join or not. Here's $1 million.
Just
Like,
to show you how serious we are.
and I mean, like, you're instantly a millionaire, like right off the bat. Yeah.
It was so great. But then I would say that it was nice to see all of that together, and it broke the band in a new, different way. It made them see in a different light. But one thing I liked about it is that Lars did say that they are an impulsive band. And it's one of those things where I never really thought about it, but it really is true. They just kind of say yes to whatever. Because honestly, a band of that nature that has lasted that long, then being like, Symphony of Metallica. Sure, let's keep doing it. Like, let's just do that. It's surprising.
I
Yeah.
love the story behind that too.
Mhm.
When we were watching the doc about the Black Album, and the guy who did the strings on Nothing Else Matters.
The elevator version.
Right, the
Yeah.
elevator version.
Michael Kamen.
Yeah, he sent over the staffs for it, and then like never heard back from them. And the record came out, and he was like, "Oh, there's not very much of my arrangement in there. You know, they sort of liked it, fine." And then he goes backstage and
At some awards show or
at
something.
some awards show and was like, "Hi, nice to meet you. I did the arrangement for Nothing Else Matters," and they were like, "Oh my god, so great to meet you. We love that." And he was like, "Really? You didn't really use much of it." And then they played him the elevator version, which was just vocals, guitar, and the string arrangement. And that was when he suggested the S&M collaboration. And they were like, "Oh, sure, that sounds great." He left, didn't hear from them for, I think he said 6 years.
Yeah.
And then
'cause-
6
yeah.
years later, they got back in touch with him and were like, "Hey, you mentioned a little bit ago about doing a album with a live performance concert with a symphony orchestra," and he was like, "A little bit ago."
It
That was
like,
a lifetime
yeah, it was like
ago.
half decade ago.
It's
Yeah.
like, you guys still remember that? I mean, sure.
I
Yeah.
love that. But I will say, we then watched the other Metallica film that is currently available via Blackened Productions. We watched Metallica Through the Never. And let me just say, as a concert film, it kicks a lot of
Holy
ass.
shit.
It was so much fun. I love the props. Everyone looks like they're having a good time. I know it's for
Well,
a film, but like...
And that's, I mean, we were like 10 minutes in and going, shit, they still play like this in 2013. Like, we'll see them on their next tour.
Yeah.
Dude,
Like-
they still play like that now, man.
Oh, no,
mean,
I
they really,
don't.
like,
I don't doubt
yeah.
it at all. I
Yeah.
mean, they still sound fucking immaculate. Just as a concert film, it's a really fun experience for sure.
Yeah. The only problem is that there is a narrative they tried to do on top of it. With
Well,
being
you asked
behind.
me about it, and I told you that. I said the concert footage is some of the coolest stuff you'll ever see. The narrative is kind of like,
I don't
okay.
know. What
Well,
it needed to decide what the fuck it wanted
They
to be.
forgot
and
to
it never
finish
did.
it.
Yeah.
Is what it feels like to me. Like,
I agree.
Either include a narrative or don't include a narrative. Like, if you just want cool visuals to go with music, then just do that.
Do a visual album. Yeah.
Try to connect them with a narrative, because the whole Dane DeHaan out in the city.
Fighting off
Was
random
just-
purge-style rioters and
Yeah, yeah,
whatnot.
yeah. Well, here's a couple of fun things about Through the Never for me. So, first off, that year was the year I saw Metallica live.
Yeah.
Ooh.
And they had a festival for 2 years called the Orion Festival, where basically they headlined, and it was just they picked a bunch of bands, and then it was all about Metallica. There were like different exhibits of all their old gear and stuff. That was super cool. So the year I went was the second year, which wasn't as successful, which is why they stopped doing it. And actually, the first year they headlined both nights. The second year that we went, they shared the headlining with the Red Hot Chili Peppers for whatever reason.
Mm-hmm. That's why Flea inducted them in the Rock and Roll Hall of Fame.
Probably. But it was really cool. And I'll get more into the performance later. But the Through the Never connection with the Orion Festival is the first night, during the day, they did a surprise set to coincide with Kill 'Em All's 30th anniversary, where they surprised everybody under the pseudonym DeHaan and played Kill 'Em All front to back on like a side stage, which is really cool.
Fun.
But my Through the Never experience was my friend Justin and I, who were I kind of got Justin into Metallica, had planned on going to see the movie the day of it, and we got tickets for like 7 o'clock that night. And then I read on their Facebook page that several different, the four of them were going around to different theaters all over the country doing premieres at the midnight premiere. And Kirk Hammett was going to be at the one in Rosemont.
Wow.
So I was like, dude, I know we already have our tickets for later in the day, but we're going at midnight, man. So we go, and sure enough, the movie's about to start, and Kirk Hammett walks out in the flesh, and again, the chillest dude ever, right? He's like, you could tell that it was like, dude, the dude probably just caught a red eye from like, from LA or wherever, San Francisco. And he's like, yeah, the movie's great. My favorite part is Ride the Lightning, because it's super cool. Like that part, because they use Tesla coils, like real Tesla coils and the thing. And not just like, the like 7th grade field trip to the Museum of Science and Industry Tesla coils. Yeah. The things were like 2 stories
There
tall.
was one part where like it looked like lightning went out to one of the lighting rigs on the side that fold up at one point, and I was like, are things going wrong? Like the Tesla coils really were freaking me out. So
just for that song, they switched all of the equipment to analog, because when they turned on the Tesla coils, it blew out all the digital stuff.
Oh, shit!
So they turned, just for that one song, just to show you how much Metallica can afford, they used all analog equipment just for that one song.
That's insane!
But anyway, so Kirk is, and they had like, one of those guys who's like, I'm from 95 Will Rock, and I'm going to come and do trivia with everybody, and then he's trying to get like Kirk to be hyped about it, and Kirk's like, yeah, it's a great movie, man. I haven't slept. I just flew 6 hours to be here for 10 minutes. Like, come on, man. But it was super cool to see him, introduce the movie. And then it was a packed house because everybody knew that Kirk would be there. So just, the vibe of seeing it with fans and, everybody's singing the songs along with it and cheering and stuff. And what was so funny is, just to show you how it kind of wasn't necessarily a super box office success, we go to the midnight premiere, sold out, packed, Kirk's there. We go 7 o'clock later in the day, and it's me and 10 people. So it was like, well.
But y'all, they're all Metallica fans.
Exactly. I mean, again, for the concert footage alone, they called the stage that they built for it the Swiss Army knife stage, because every song has a different prop coming out. I mean, Master of Puppets has got the crosses coming out that are all as tall as James Hetfield, they're all lit, they're shooting fire.
But then the stage collapses. Oh no.
No, what was the song that they did where they had the machine gun?
That's one.
Before?
That's one.
It was right before one.
Yeah.
That was really cool.
They have the even just
seeing, I can't imagine seeing it in person. Even just seeing the footage
I have seen
of
it in person.
I was like, this is really awesome. Yeah. The way that they had synced up the lasers to hit the sparks on the stage was really exceptionally well done.
When I saw them at Orion Festival, when they did one, they did just that. They had lasers coming across, and it just went like pop, 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 it was machine gun fire, and they're pretty phenomenal live. They played several different deep cuts, some that were cool, some that were like, okay. So I mentioned earlier that they played Carpe Diem Baby, which is a deep cut off of Reload, and at the end James Hetfield says, well, so now you've heard it whether you want to or not, which is still hilarious. And then they also played I Disappear as well.
Oh, fun.
It's like, okay, cool.
I mean, that song was number 1 on the rock charts.
I know.
It was the first Metallica song I ever heard.
Really?
Yeah.
Well, yeah,
how sheltered I was.
Also, weird fact about I Disappear, even though it came out in 2000, it was already using the pots and pans strumming from Saint Anger.
True. Yes.
He was already didn't have the snare turned on.
Yeah.
And Jason was still there for that.
Yeah, that was the last thing he did with them. And
then he disappeared.
Indeed, and then he disappeared. But I mean, they also played Disposable Heroes, which is fantastic. They opened with Blackened into For Whom the Bell Tolls, into Disposable Heroes nonstop, which is like a triple threat.
That's an assault.
Yeah, they also played The Day That Never Comes, which is a great one from Death Magnetic. They played a lot of stuff off of Master of Puppets. I think they did 5 songs off of that. Sanitarium, Master of Puppets, Battery, Orion, and Disposable Heroes. And then the encore is really cool. They played Turn the Page, the Bob Seger song, which is cool because it was in Detroit. And then, Creeping Death and Seek and Destroy to close it out. I mean, it's perfect.
Yeah.
You know,
I remember in 2016, they had a televised performance of the Grammys when they were actually performing A Moth into Flame with Lady Gaga. And during the actual performance, for whatever fucking reason, James's mic was cut off, and it was so fucking rough to see. But I think it's on Lady Gaga's YouTube of all things, she posted the rehearsal video of them.
Which is fantastic.
It's fucking great.
So good.
And also, credit to her, Gaga harmonized with Hetfield remarkably well. They were able to actually stay and sing for a part of it.
Well, that's because she can sing anything. So,
Yeah,
I mean,
basically. Yeah. Which is still blowing me away. But also now, I always enjoyed the performance. But then after hearing the story that was written about Amy Winehouse, and then you get Lady Gaga to kind of like sing it with them.
It kind of
takes on a new.
It was even like that collaboration was more perfect than I even knew it was.
Yeah,
knowing the story of the song.
Yeah. And also, again, given that their only other guest vocalist has been Marianne Faithfull, I like that happened. So, more importantly, what's your favorite Echo Brain song? I'm joking. I'm actually going to ask, what's your favorite Newstead, the band song?
Watch me actually have an answer. There's a song called, I think it's called Soldier Head, that was pretty good.
Oh,
not really.
You could have literally said anything, and I would have believed you. There's a
actual
song called Jar of Taffy. It's kind of amazing, actually.
What's funny is, so they when he had Newstead, he opened for Megadeth. And
that's funny.
On the encore, they did Phantom Lord and Whiplash.
Oh, wow.
And Newstead came out and sang the vocals and
nice.
Which is kind of cool. It's like, hey, we were both in Metallica. You know, like...
yeah.
Yeah, but...
Well, Newstead sounds pretty old hat to me.
Was that supposed to be a joke?
Oh boy.
Oh boy. You also, Taran also, he did the extra credit on this one. He also listened to the Death Magnetic EP, the one that came out.
Oh, yeah.
Beyond Magnetic.
Yeah, Beyond
Totally
Magnetic.
Solid.
Yeah.
If you like Death Magnetic, you should listen to Beyond Magnetic. Because
it's 4 songs.
It's 4 songs, and they all sound like they could have gotten swapped out, and it still would have been as solid of an album. I was really... There's, what's it called?
Oh.
Just a Bullet Away.
Yeah.
I love that song. It's so hard.
My favorite is my favorite one from those 4. I think is Rebel of Babylon.
Yes, that one's really good too.
But they're all great. It's funny because it's like, you could have. Honestly, I like those 4 better than some of the songs off of Hardwired. So it's like they could have like taken those B-sides and
just save them.
Yeah.
Throw
them all out there.
But I also think wasn't it they put that out right after Lulu.
Yeah, so I think it was kind of like,
hey, wait, we're still Metallica. We still do good music.
Yeah.
I promise. The other thing, though, I will say thank you so much, Phil, for actually indulging us this week and listening to Lulu for the first time ever.
You're welcome. It'll never happen again. So only for you guys.
How painful was your listening experience?
It wasn't painful. It was just kind of like okay. Like
I heard Taran cackling.
I laughed out loud at least 3 different times while listening to this album.
Because when you think about like the context, especially if you listen to the stuff in order, right?
Yeah.
Right.
You've gone through all these albums, even Death Magnetic, where it's like, okay, Metallica's back, baby.
Yeah.
Right.
And then it's like, the table and pump the blood and I don't have a penis or whatever he says, like I just
spermless girl.
I like Phil's version better.
Which is actually he doesn't just say that, he repeats it about 8 times over the course of the song.
Marry me.
It's rough.
Yeah.
Is
this a dog? Because it's rough.
I would argue that Lulu is the most happy hour Minisodiest album that you've ever had on this program. It is so like
Well, I would say it's the worst album I've listened to for the Chartographers.
And you gotta think, of the 50 plus artists that we've listened to, that's a bold fucking statement.
And we did a Weezer episode.
You did a Weezer episode before OK Human came out.
Yeah, I know, their new masterpiece. Watch me go.
And we did a Weezer episode.
Well, we're also doing a Metallica episode when, like, yesterday they were on...
Well, the thing is, we're recording this right before the Super Bowl for the year 2021 happens. And afterwards, after the actual broadcast, Colbert is doing a live show in which Metallica is going to perform. I know throughout COVID, they were doing their acoustic All Within My Hands Foundation kind of
which was
shows.
kind of cool.
Yeah.
It's some cool reimaginings of the songs. I like a lot of that. They kind of did a half and half thing too, where they did part acoustic, part electric. Mm-hmm. Kind of like, we want to still keep the electric thing going, the ga or whatever you said earlier. Yeah.
That was the James Hetfield quote.
Right. Yeah. Yeah, they including the song "All Within My Hands" off of Saint Anger, the acoustic version. I was like, oh, I actually kind of like this.
Yeah.
But I like that they can take some of their songs and kind of reimagine them as other things. I really like the acoustic version of "Disposable Heroes." It has kind of like this weird, like almost 6/8 kind of driving feel to it. It's very cool.
Well, one of the songs they did, we watched one of them, was "Black in 2020." Which was a new song, which has absolutely nothing to do with the original Black Hand outside of just the name being adjusted slightly, which I'm like, oh, interesting.
My favorite part of Black in 2020 is the video they put out where James Hetfield is sitting at a desk with old man glasses on, like reading lyrics. It's like, oh, so now he's become Lou Reed.
He might be the table after all. Maybe
he might be the table after all.
Well, are there any other live recordings or B-sides or anything else that fans should absolutely be checking out?
I would say if fans are going to check anything out, I would definitely say that they need to check. One thing that Metallica is really cool at doing is, since 2003, they've been official live bootlegging almost every single one of their live shows. And it's all available on Metallica.com. I don't work for Metallica, but it's all available on Metallica.com. Use my promo code Phil for 20%. I totally would. But in 2011, it was their 30th anniversary, and they did 4 shows at the Fillmore in San Francisco, which is like, it was only for members of the Metallica fan club. And each night was, they didn't repeat a single song except for Seek and Destroy, which closed out the show every night.
Yeah.
And they opened with, each of the nights had one of the instrumentals open the show. They had Jason Newsted came out every night. They had all the guys from Merciful Fate come out and do that 11-minute medley.
That's actually really cool.
Which is kind of cool for them to do that.
Right, that's what I mean.
And then they had the guys from Diamond Head came out and they did a mini Diamond Head set, which was cool.
Of course they did, yes.
They had fans, each night a different fan came out and played a song with them, like they picked them out of the audience. My favorite one was one of the guys did Bread Fan, and he's like the nerdiest looking dude, and he kills it, but it's just like compared to looking at them,
Yeah.
But it's a great series. If you can look it up, it's really awesome. Totally worth buying and streaming them.
So they performed at the Fillmore, but it was a fan-only event. I think they would make more money if they opened up to the public. I think they'd be able to film more.
I was wondering where you were going with that, man.
One thing I will say about the band, and I mean this truly, genuinely, is I was reading this interview with Lars right before the Master of Puppets remastered deluxe edition that they did in 2017, which had fucking everything.
It's literally like 8 discs.
It's so stupid. But one of the things where he talked about...
The Injustice for All one's even bigger, so...
Yeah. Well, the thing is that I was just thinking about, like, for a band that, they're clearly good, they're clearly influential, I'm still low-key surprised that they've been as successful as they have been. And I think part of that is, and I think it's due to Lars largely, is they have a great degree of self-mythologizing that goes on. And in reading that interview about the Master of Puppets remaster, he talked about how they have an archivist full-time on staff.
Yep.
Someone who goes to venues, who tries to hunt down original, soundboard recordings, who tries to go to studios and pick up tapes that were forgotten behind if they're even available, who goes through and tries to find all these things so that when they do these elaborate remasters and deluxe editions, they actually have material to go through. And that just kind of spoke to the fact that as crazy as all of their artistic decisions may be, certainly, they still are great at self-mythologizing, and I think it's fascinating.
Agree. Yeah. Yep, and I think their fan club and the way they build all of that is really, really cool. They have all of the set lists dating back from the very beginning. Almost all of them are up there that you can find on the set list Wikipedia site or on Metallica.com. And one of the coolest archival things that I think you guys might appreciate is James Hetfield has a guitar called the Garage Days guitar. And the wood that the guitar is made out of came from the garage that they wrote the demos for Master of Puppets in.
That's really
The
cool.
garage got demolished, and somebody kept the lumber and built the guitar out of it and gave it to James Hetfield.
That's really cool.
So it's like when he is playing Master of Puppets, he's playing it using the wood that they recorded the original 1985 demos, him and Lars in the garage doing that.
Now,
which is like the coolest thing ever.
I love that. That's the sound, the memories. One thing I will say, though, is I thought the load-reload backlash was so fascinating to me, of the fact that when these albums came out, obviously the sound changed, but also some people were so upset by the photos, they cut off their fucking hair. And the thing is, I didn't really fully understand the context, but then when I watched the music video they did for Until It Sleeps, it's just wild, man.
Well,
yeah,
it's based on the Garden of Earthly Delights, I believe it's called, which is
that Dali painting. Yeah,
no, it's Hieronymus Bosch.
Yes.
But it is a very surreal depiction.
Yeah.
It's a very surreal depiction of Earth, heaven, and hell. And so there's a lot of imagery that they pull from that painting for the video, including a guy getting swallowed by a demon. But yeah, it was very odd to watch a couple of for the the video for One, for example, or stuff from the Black Album, and then you get to
Lars in a feather boa.
Right, Lars in a feather boa with big thick eyeliner and
they all had the guy liner
and
thing going.
Kirk has green eyeshadow on and a nail polish,
painted, yeah.
and I love it, but I also understand
why James was like, what?
Yeah, why the fans might have been shocked because they spoke so strongly against those things
for reasons we mentioned earlier about how thrash metal fans are.
Yeah.
Well, one thing that I've heard about those tours too was they would open their encores by coming out and playing an acoustic set and taking songs like Motor Breath that have no business being played acoustically and playing acoustic stuff, and people would get up and leave. What is this? We didn't come here to see,
sellouts!
See Metallica Dave Matthews edition.
What you say?
Yeah. Yeah, I just wanted you to do that, yeah. But yeah, I agree. And what's so funny to me about when we talk about, even though Load and Reload and Saint Anger are critically panned, it's there's still
good shit on there,
and there's still multi-platinum selling records.
They do not have any albums that aren't platinum.
I know. Even there's a really funny picture you can find online of Hardwired to Self-Destruct. It went platinum, and since they now own their own masters of puppets and other things.
Masters,
yeah,
masters.
I was trying. That was my Evan Saudi impression. But they own their own masters now through their own record company. There's a picture of them presenting themselves with the platinum record. So one side they're dressed as businessmen, and then the other side they're just dressed as themselves, and they're presenting themselves with the platinum record.
I love that,
which is hilarious. So yes, all the way from Metallica or the Black Album being a 16 times platinum record in the U.S. To they definitely are, I would say, in terms of album sales and just about everything else we've said, the greatest metal band of all time. No one even really comes close.
I was reading that globally they're in third place as far as total album sales.
I believe it.
They're the Taylor Swift of metal.
They had, again, that's not a bad. They had They had 1.1 billion streams on Spotify last year. In 2020, they had that. I mean,
look what you made me do!
I kind of feel like you just said that just so you could do the what you made me do.
I don't think you're wrong.
I mean, they are pretty huge in everywhere, especially in like South America and Europe in particular. They're almost like a religion. And so metal in general is huge in like South America for sure. But in fact, that's kind of been a criticism of them for a very long time. They would tour like everywhere else but the U.S. because they're so huge in all the other places. It's like, okay, we can come to the U.S. and play a couple arenas, or we can go play a stadium show in Rio and,
make billions. And I think, even as they pointed out in the Load era, they played Lollapalooza. Those fucking sellouts. But, I would fucking see Lollapalooza again.
Well, they just headlined Lollapalooza as recently as, 5 years ago.
Yeah.
And they were the rock act. One other Load Reload era thing was one of the only times they've done SNL, and the host was Nathan Lane. So you can find, I think you can only find an audio clip of it, but you know how the host always introduces the music.
Yeah.
So it's Nathan Lane going, "Ladies and gentlemen, Metallica." and then it's James going, "Give me 2, give me 5, give me," it's just he would not be the one I would choose to introduce Metallica. But then you could just tell he was trying to be all Metallica! It's Nathan Lane!
Metallica!
the czar of Broadway himself introducing Metallica.
Kamisha, Emma is coming for you! That's a little shout out for us, guys. But I would say, listen, we're going into this 42 minutes. Do you have any other, an all-time favorite story of Metallica you want to tell? Something else that we haven't talked about?
Wait. I have something.
Taran has something.
Go ahead.
Robert Trujillo is Zaddy, and I am low-key in love with him.
Robert Trujillo, if you're listening, thechartographers@gmail.com will give you Taran's number. Send us a dick pic to verify your youth.
No, wait, hold on.
Okay.
Let's not go all the way there.
Okay.
I respect Robert Trujillo and his body autonomy, but...
Who would have thought we'd talk about body autonomy on a Metallica?
Body autonomy!
Is that Metallica's next record? Body autonomy?
I think in a different way to Kirk, but in a similar vein, he just seems like just a precious,
cool,
just a
super
great,
super chill guy.
Just a really great person. And also, I love that he crouches so low while he's playing bass that he almost looks like he's dragging his ass on the ground, and then he'll walk like that. Like a frick. He looks like
beginning of For Whom
he
the
looks
Bell
like
Tolls.
a
There's nothing like it.
gargoyle.
Yeah,
and he almost always wears board shorts and a sleeveless jersey.
I do kind of love that he joined on, and Lars or no one ever stopped him from dressing that way or changed his way. Just just dress how you dress. I love that.
Yeah, well, I mean, it's an iconic look with the braids and everything is pretty cool.
Especially when he's headbanging and the hair's just whipping around.
Yeah, for sure. I can see what you mean, Taran. I get it.
Yeah.
I mean, I think that there's you just have to check them out live when we can finally go back to live shows and touring, and they're touring again. I mean, they're one of the best to do it, and it's very funny to they're a band to me where they will always break records, and it's when you hear stuff oh yeah, they had a platinum metal record in 2016.
I mean, the fact that they had a platinum album in 2016 kind of blows my mind, because in the
that's a thing that should not be.
In the streaming era, that is a really difficult thing to do. There's in this day and age, there's 3 or 4 platinum albums a year sometimes. Sometimes there's more than that, but there have been years where only a couple people managed to do it at all.
Yeah.
So the fact that they still,
as a metal band, even
can still do that is really impressive, and just speaks to they are unassailable at the top. They will always be there. No matter what they do.
Yeah, they'll always be the best. I would say that another fun thing to look at is you can find videos of Hetfield's hairstyles through the years, because there's some pretty big sins. There's some mullet action going on. Now we got the handlebar mustache. The handlebar. He's wearing cowboy hats a lot more lately. I don't. He lives in Austin now, I think. So he moved out of.
Keep Boston.
He moved out of that liberal hellhole of LA and moved to...
But the other thing, as we pointed out, though, is that they are notably apolitical for the most part. Like, they have, anti-religious screeds, they have anti-establishment things, but they
and anti-war.
Yeah.
But I was reading, Lars was talking about how, while they may have songs with messages, they never want to, seem like they're throwing their weight behind one ideology or another.
And that's fair, I suppose.
Yeah. I mean, it's just interesting, though, because they're just kind of this kind of more of a universal thing, but they never, were like, we're playing for John Kerry or we're Trump supporters or anything else like that. They're just like, we're still just a metal band. And I also feel like that's part of Lars's perception. He's aware of the public perception, because even when people asked about his Napster fight, like, did it go how you expected? He's like, you mean me becoming the most hated man in rock and roll? Yeah, that was the goal. I did it. How about that? He understands what the perception of Metallica is for the most part. And it's one of those things I think I appreciate that. But the only other thing I would say is that I appreciate Phil O'Reilly taking all the time in the world to come up here and join us for a Metallica podcast, to rank the albums, to do the minisodes.
Filthy Animal O'Reilly.
Filtered without. I just want to say...
What?
He's without
Come on,
filter.
We're so close to wrapping it up. Come on.
Let me just say
thank
you so much for being here. I really appreciate everything you've had to say, and I'm glad we finally, after years of discussions, we finally got to do this.
This is one of the best podcasts out there. I am so blessed to be here. It is absolutely my pleasure. And I'm so excited to come back for the Captain and Tennille episode.
Oh my God. I mean, all I can say, do it to me one more time.
Because I feel like I have to balance out the fact that I've done like two of the most legendary hard rock and metal acts. I have to balance it out with something light next time.
I appreciate that. I will say, though, when you just called us one of the best podcasts out there, I appreciate that, but I'd really more appreciate it if you left that in a review. Just throw that on the website. It helps drive up, helps other people know what the show is all about. I appreciate it. But all y'all, Twitter, Facebook, get a hold of us, thecharttoppers@gmail.com, only if you're Robert Trujillo. But please, reach out, let us know. Phil, thank you so much. Check out his EP on Spotify. Taran, as always, I'm glad we got to do this.
This is a blast.
Yeah, and Metallica, rock on forever, y'all. You dirty birds out there doing the rock thing. We appreciate you. I don't know what this is coming up.
And with that, we are going to fade to black.
Yeah.
We are going to fade to
Thank you so much for listening. Keep on listening. You know that we'll be. Have a good one, everybody. Be the table. Goodbye.
Yeah.
Iced honey.
Love 'em,